Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. Saffron would not stop screaming at me, so you have her today instead of Nutmeg. But I honestly cannot believe that we are closing in on the end of December and the end of the year. It's almost 2024. This has been a wild year for me personally, lots of ups, lots of downs, but I'm just happy we made it to another year. And of course, I got my girl Saffron this year, so that was obviously something really positive to end the year off on a great note. She is a little bit squirmy, so I'm probably gonna have to put her down. You might hear her screaming at me throughout the video because that's just her way of talking. Her way of talking just sounds like a little scream and it's super cute. But today I want to talk about my favorite plants for the month of December. I've got 5 of them here and I'm just gonna start it off while I have Saffron being kind of calm with a smaller one. And that is my Philodendrin Bono. Hopefully this plant will not stay small for long. I think it is absolutely adorable. What do you think? Do you like it? No, this is not her favorite plant. But anyway, this was a gift from my friend Carson over at Heartleaf's Jungle. I honestly have wanted this plant for so long. I was just holding out for the right one because the prices have dropped considerably, so that really wasn't a factor in the decision anymore. But this one is just perfect. It is the perfect Bono. I don't know how Carson picked out the perfect one for me, but it has grown 3 leaves in my care. It started out with this beautiful half moon, and I will mention that Bonos, they come out, the variegation comes out white and then fades to green over time. So that's why this one is looking kind of green at this point. That was the first leaf in my care. Then it put out this beautiful leaf. It was a nice jump in size. I'm really looking forward to it getting bigger. And then finally, the most recent leaf just unfurled. It's still sizing up a little bit, and that is going to be that one right there. I'm loving this plant. I'm really hoping it'll size up enough in the new year that I can get it on a pole. But other than that, it's just been really easy going. It was really small when I got it, which is why I still have it in one of my little propagation cups. It is rooting pretty well. I am waiting for it to root a little bit better before I size it up though. I would like to see some roots maybe circling around in the bottom of the cup, but we're getting there. I see some nice green roots. There's one right here growing along toward the bottom, so we're making some good progress. I really just water it when the moss gets dry, dump out any of the extra, and I typically water it every 10 days or so. Really nothing out of the ordinary, nothing crazy. Really easygoing plant so far, great genes, and I'm just loving it. So that is my Philodendrin Bono. There are going to be a couple of big plants on this list, and one of them is my Monstera Albow. Now I have a couple of these. This is my OG one. Just go ahead and show you. I recently up-potted her. So she's got a bigger pot now. She looks a little thirsty, but I feel like I just watered her. So it could just be getting used to the pot that she's in, which is fine. That's pretty normal that it'll take them a little bit to get used to it. She's got some great variegation, finally started giving me some fenestrations. This is a small form Albow, so it's not gonna get crazy fenestrated or anything like that, but she's awesome. I love her. I was so excited when I first got her, my first ever Monstera Albow. She has been very easygoing ever since. I got her as a 3-leaf rooted cutting, and it was considered a low variegation because the newest leaf was this one at the bottom. Actually, it has only ever lost 1 leaf in my care, so this was the newest leaf. And I was just like, you know what? They were really expensive at the time. I got this one for $100 with 3 leaves already rooted. So I was like, I'm just gonna take the chance, and I'd say it worked out in my favor. It's not the highest variegation that you'll ever see on a Monstera Albow, but I'm not gonna complain about this. It is very stable, very happy, very healthy. And like I said, the leaves will stop curling in once it gets used to what's going on. I recently moved it. It was kind of facing sideways, which is why it looks kind of weird like this. I do have it facing forward now, so the leaves should rotate back to a better position soon. The striping on the stem, if you can see it here, it looks really great. It's pretty happy on this pole. It tries to root in here a little bit, but given the nature of the coco coir, I don't think it's ever gonna fully root into the pole, which is fine. Like I said, Monstera Albow, this is a small form. I don't expect it to get crazy big at any point in time, so I'm just gonna be happy with the way that it is. I'll give y'all one more look at it, and that's why it's one of my favorites for the month, and honestly, one of my favorite plants in my collection. I'm just really happy that I own one of these. The next plant that I'm showing off is another big one. It is just got extended to its third pole, so it sits over here. This is my Filadyne Splendid. This is a hybrid of Philodendron melanochrysum and varicosum, I believe. Yeah, that sounds about right. So it is much easier to take care of than the Philodendron melanochrysum. You all know I am the biggest hater of that plant in the entire world, but this one has been very easy. I got it for my birthday, actually. It arrived, I think, right after my birthday. So I got it in April, and it has already grown enough that I extended it to its third pole. And that right there is the newest leaf. It almost reaches the ceiling. It is so happy, so healthy. The only thing is that it hasn't attached itself to the moss pole yet, and I'm not really sure why, given how much it's grown and how the leaf size has gotten bigger since the first few leaves that it has, but I don't care. I love it. Honestly, it's a great plant. I really enjoy having it in my collection. Let me see if I can put it on the ground. Yeah, you can see the top leaf if I put it on the ground. So this is how tall this plant is. It is taller than my Mills bow wide. It is absolutely gorgeous. It has sort of that red color with the new leaves because of the varicosum cross, but it doesn't have the fuzzy of the like stems and the petioles. I actually don't like that in plants. My husband loves it. I know a lot of people like it. I personally can't stand it. So this hybrid is the best of both worlds for me because I do think that Philodendron varicosum has a very pretty leaf. I just don't like the fuzziness. So this is one of the perfect philodendrons for me. It grows really well, really happy, really healthy plant. And I'm thinking next year I might have to chop it if it keeps growing at this rate. I know I'm gonna have to put it in a bigger pot soon because if I let it go, it actually leans back. That's why I have it up against the wall, the ceiling at this point. So I don't know, maybe I'll pot it, put it on the floor, and then that'll give it a couple more pole extensions. Yes, Saffron, I hear you. She's very excited all the time, but this is just a great plant, really easygoing, highly recommend, as long as you keep it on a pole. Otherwise, you're not gonna get the leaves to kind of get bigger or at least stay the same size. You're gonna have them get smaller and scraggly, so definitely give it some support. I'm thinking maybe it hasn't attached to the pole yet because I don't keep the moss as watered as I should, but one of my goals for next year is to be better about that. Better about watering, better about managing these plants so that they can be their best selves, but this plant doesn't seem to mind the little bit of neglect at all. So anyway, that is my Philodendron Splendid. The fourth plant is a bit of a unique one, and it's one that I really haven't shown off that much, and that is going to be my Sport Variegated Money Tree. For a while there, I did actually think it was reverting because it put out a couple of green leaves. This side of it is green anyway, but the new growth here is what's really intriguing me. So this is a newer cluster of leaves. You can see the variegation comes in sort of green on green, but then it fades out to an aurea variegation like you see back here. This cluster was all variegated, but they kind of browned up and died. When I didn't water it as much, I didn't realize how thirsty money trees are. I water this once or twice a week, honestly, and it was in a little 3-inch pot. I just upgraded it to a 4-inch pot just so that it could maybe hold on to the water a little bit longer, but it's been doing really well. This cluster looks like it's going to be mostly variegated here, so I'm very excited for that one to harden off. But all in all, this is probably my best sport find. One of the only ones I've been able to keep alive, considering that most of my sport finds were alocasia, and I just can't keep them alive to save my life. But this has been a great plant. I remember when I first found it, people were like, oh, that's not variegated. If it is, it's ugly, it's sick, but I don't know. That's pretty variegated to me, so really happy with it. Of course, this is one of the older leaves, so I'm not too concerned about the browning there. It It actually might be one of the oldest leaves on this plant. So again, not really concerned, just gonna water it when needed, monitor the water levels, just because I did recently repot it. But other than that, it's been really happy, really healthy, and the variegation is quite nice. So if I can keep up with the watering, it's gonna look like a beautiful full plant in 2024. So again, this is my Sport Variegated Money Tree. My fifth and final plant is a plant that you would have seen on my favorite houseplants for quite a few months this year. And honestly, I just had to close out 2023 with it. And that is going to be my Philodendron Rio. It also just got a pole extension. So it is on its third pole as well. Just started out on that pole. It's got a new leaf unfurling. They do come in a bit of a red color, kind of like that. And then they fade out to this beautiful green. This plant is so full, so big, so beautiful. And it just looks great from all angles, I think. The leaves sort of face one particular way for the most part, but I love this plant so much. I really feel like maybe I should grow several of these because it just does so well for me. It is a little bit thirsty right now. The leaves feel a little bit thin, so after this I'm gonna go ahead and give it a drink, but it's just got this perfect balance of variegation. I love the silvery centers as well as this cream. The only plants that I have with that cream variegation are this one, my Thai Constellation, and my Variegated Spiral Ginger. It really is a unique color of variegation that I don't see in many plants, and that's part of why I love it. For Heartleaf Philodendron, this has got to be the most unique one in my collection. And I just love every single thing about it. I just feel like I could show it off all day. Let me show you guys here. This is truly a beautiful plant and I just love everything about it. These leaves down here have some really nice variegation going on. I think with winter, there's just been less light coming into the room, so the top leaves don't have as much, but in the spring, I'm hoping it'll start to look like this again. I do have a couple of new vines coming up. I have one back here that I need to secure to the pole, and then hopefully those leaves will start to get bigger as well. But this plant is just great. It is rooted into the pole in several different places, and it's just been a really happy, healthy philodendron to have in my collection, and that's just why I love it so much. It is a great plant. Just looking, okay. I got a few places that are kind of growing up above the next line of Velcro, so I need to get them secure so they grow into the pole more, and that's really the key. These leaves have been sizing up so well. They're actually pretty close to the size of my hand at this point, which is really cool to see, even if they do have less variegation. Like I said, it'll come back, but this might be one of my favorite plants of all time at this point. It's just so easygoing. And because of this and how well it's doing, I really want to put more of my Heartleaf philodendrons on poles. I did put my Variegated Heartleaf on a pole, but the internodal spacing on that plant when I got it was really long. So I'm thinking in 2024, I might chop it because I'm really liking this full look a lot better. Granted, I do have 2 or 3 strands going up the pole here, but just another project to think about. I know I have endless projects going on here, but if I can get all of my plants to look like this, I'm gonna have a pretty cool collection. Just imagine next year if like that whole back area looks like this. I don't know, that's just gonna look so cool. So this is the plant that really inspired it all in terms of getting my plants to climb, and I'm very grateful for it. And that's why it will forever be one of my favorite plants. All right, that is it for my 5 favorite plants for the month of December, closing out the year with a bang, with some really nice plants. And obviously closing out the year with my new kitten that I love so, so, so much. She's just the cutest. And I love how chatty she is. I hope you guys like that too. If you like this video, make sure to give Saffron and Egg a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything else from us here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.